The floor is all yours. So parents, please be sure to write your names and emails in the chat box and any additional questions that you may have during the presentation, but we will give some time at the end for anyone to ask any questions that they may have.
Hey. All right, parents, well, thank you for joining us virtually on the screen. We are joining you from Westminster live over the screen. And so for those of you who are unfamiliar with the school, we are pre-1st through 12th grade co-educational day school in Atlanta, Georgia, right down the street from Suzuki. I am specifically speaking to the lower school today. And so our children at the lower school begin in pre-1st, which is another word for kindergarten. And those children are 5 years old before September 1st. We have a program that is very rich where we have children transitioning to a number of special area classes throughout the day. We are inspired by the Reggio Emilia philosophy, and it is extremely collaborative. Now, this year looks different with COVID-19, but we have children back in action, and they are resilient. And so we are just trucking away. I want to share some things with you this afternoon. If I can, yep, okay, perfect. So school-wide, we have just over 1,800 children from pre-1st through 12th grade. Now in the lower school, that number is just under 500. So again, it's pre-1st through 5th grade in Love Hall. We draw upon a number of different areas within Atlanta. Our students come from over 79 different zip codes. And then within our space, we have 180 acres to explore, whether that's Nancy Creek or Turner Gymnasium. We have an incredible amount of resources at our fingertips. And we are very fortunate to be able to use every last inch of that, especially within this year. We have 37% students of color, 20% of our faculty self-identify as people of color, and then annually each year, we administer about $5 million in financial aid. We also have seven affinity groups in the lower school, and those continue throughout the middle and upper school as well.
You got it, Emma?
Okay, and then the admissions process. You know, it is a unique year, and so with that, we are looking forward to sharing Westminster with you through so many unique experiences. And really, Ravenna is going to be your best bet in gathering information as it continues to unfold, especially as it relates to events. So I encourage you to, if you haven't yet done so, go ahead and create a profile for your child within Ravenna. It's okay if they are not eligible to apply to the school this year. You have opportunities to join us for some new sessions that we have just recently rolled out. This year, we are hosting Live at Love sessions and focusing on hot topics for parents during the admissions process. Those 30-minute sessions are held in the morning, virtually online through Zoom, and we spotlight hot topics such as meeting members of the lower school administrative team, connecting with a panel of current students, equity and inclusion. There's another session where you have the opportunity to hear from and meet pre-1st and 5th grade teachers as well. So we encourage you to sign up for as many of those as you possibly can if it interests you. We are also hosting virtual information sessions and tours. Those are reserved for parents who are eligible to apply their children this upcoming season. And that's really where we're going to spend a little bit more time talking about curriculum and then diving a little bit deeper into our day-to-day activities within Love Hall. If you are eligible to apply this year, our admissions timeline is pretty consistent to that that it's been in previous years. So the application is due in mid-January, and again, sort of touching back on the uniqueness of this year, we encourage you to get that in sooner rather than later. Supplemental materials are due in late January, and then our application deadline is in early February. So that kind of gives you a bit of a run through about our process this year. I know that it's on everybody's mind about how you'll have the chance to get to know the school and still have those connections. We are working to get all of that to you. So I am happy to take any of your questions as they come in through the chat.
Tavia?
Yes.
If I could just jump in. Hi, I'm Danny Alexander. I'm an assistant director of admissions at Westminster. I work with kind of all the divisions, but once the season really ramps up, I will really turn my attention to 5th grade. But one other thing I wanted to point your attention to is the QR code on the screen. If you're able to, and you can hold up maybe your phone camera to that QR code, that will actually take you right to Ravenna. And that will give us an opportunity to kind of connect with you in another way by tracking you there.
Perfect. Good little detail that we don't want to go missed. Does anyone have some questions that we can help answer for you now? We're happy to take them through the chat. We encourage you to send them our way.
Hi, sorry, I came in a little
Hi, Pia.
late, but I'm Pia. I work in admissions at the Ponce campus. Oh, I see. Actually, it's a question that just came in the chat box, so I'll wait to answer mine. I mean, to ask mine, but here, could you talk about your foreign language program? That's
Sure.
a question from the chat box.
Sure. Okay, so foreign language at the lower school, we offer French or Spanish. And so we actually allow parents to share their language preference through a survey. And so half of our children take French and then the other half take Spanish. And they take that all the way through 5th grade. It is a very experiential approach to learning another language. We are really laying the foundation for success in early language acquisition. And so the instruction is very interactive. They are learning without even knowing that they're learning sometimes. There is song, there is theater, there is puppetry, there is dance. Our foreign language teachers go into those classrooms with the children, and it is an immersive experience, but we are not an immersion program. When they hit the middle school, then they're able to decide what foreign language they would like to pursue. And so they can continue with French or Spanish, they can change it up. We also offer Chinese and Latin in the middle school as well. Okay, just got another question. That's a good one. What percentage of applicants are admitted during pre-first compared to 6th or 7th grade? So in pre-first, for the lower school, that is our largest expansion year. That is where we typically enroll around 72 or so new students. And we do receive about 250 or so applications in a typical year. When we compare that to 6th grade, we see a pretty similar pool there. And so they typically receive a similar amount of applications. And at the end of the day, they typically enroll 80 to 90 new students. And so really across Westminster, pre-first and 6th grade are going to be your largest expansion years. 7th grade is a bit smaller, where we typically enroll, I want to say, Danny, correct me if I'm wrong, and I only typically speak to the lower school, but I want to say that it's about 20 to 25 new students for 7th.
That might be a little high.
Okay.
25 would be, but no, I mean, sure, 15, 20.
Sure.
And then once you get to 8th grade, it's only a handful. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. And then I hope, and also if you would like some more detail about these questions as I answer them, please go ahead and use the chat and write back, and I'll try my best to elaborate. The next question, can you explain more about how your lower school is Emilio Reggio inspired? Of course. You know, we bring the outside in. And so when you do first see our spaces, they are really created by the children. And so, you know, our teachers are not putting up decor in advance. The children are creating their space. They're that much more invested. They are also, our approach is also student-centered. And so we honor the voice and the choice of the children and allow them to decide where sometimes they would like to spend their time. Would you like to pursue time working on math, or would you like to go and explore and build? We honor their voice and choice in our classrooms. We also draw upon some really other wonderful philosophies. Maria Montessori, our children will oftentimes use those mats in their space when they are working as well. So we like to say that we draw upon the best of the best, and we highlight all of those pieces within our classrooms. Do you require JATP testing? Yes, we do. That is still a required component in the process. And the good news is that the JATP psychologists have been working diligently to make sure that that is a safe experience for families this year. And so just know that with the JATP testing, they are offering in-person and virtual testing. And so I would reach out to jatp.org. That website houses the most up-to-date information, and contact them directly regarding any questions that you have about that process this year. Oh, Pia, that was your question. Okay. All right, good.
In terms of, because this is a topic and a subject that we've touched on with every school, in terms of your diversity, equity, and inclusion, how diverse would you say your lower school is? And what plans, or what is your take on DEI?
Sure. So we actually have a dedicated space within our website that really outlines in great detail all of our initiatives and where we are at this point in time. There is a strong concentration on equity and inclusion outreach, even within admissions and all of our efforts. We are piloting this year, specifically in the lower school curriculum. We are having daily morning meetings, but within morning meeting time, we are taking the opportunity to really use that and have courageous conversations with our children. We want this to be a safe space to be able to talk about identity and to be able to learn from one another. And so those conversations are happening within the walls of Love Hall. And so it really does, it starts there. But I encourage families to go and read within our website. I want to say that it's westminster.net/equity and inclusion. It's right at the top navigation. It will give you sort of a holistic picture on all of our efforts, but it is something that we have a very careful eye and listening ear. It's important to continue conversations with our alumni and our current parents. You know, we can do better, and we are striving to do that. Can you expand on the children choose the curriculum piece? Is it a daily, weekly decision by the children on what to focus on? How do you ensure all aspects of education are taught if the children choose the topics? Okay, this is a good question. Sorry, I think that I need to go back and clarify. So we do have academic instruction that is on target each day. And so children are being taught, especially in pre-first, early literacy to read. And so we do small group instruction. Writing occurs inside of the classroom, and we use Lucy Calkins. So children are learning how to become an author, how to write short narratives. We are working with handwriting through the use of Handwriting Without Tears. We use Orton Gillingham for phonemic awareness and letter sound instruction. But then within that space, we also make sure that it's a hands-on learning environment. So there is a space for children to use blocks in pre-first and to use their creative energy and be able to have choice in their day. And so there is oftentimes space available for them to say, I'd like to go and participate in this. I'd like to now go ahead and participate in that. We also have them moving throughout the day to special area classes. So within the pre-first classroom, typically on a typical day, they would transition to about 2 or 3 special area classes. And that includes classes like art, science, design thinking, physical education. We also make sure that they are going to recess every day and they've got that movement. We focus on movement activities inside the classroom, but also outside of the classroom and even in the hallways through tape on the floor and movement activities and breaks. can you take us through a typical day? I think I might have just, I jumped ahead and might have just done that a little bit, but we do start every day with morning meeting. And that's really a space where the children come into their homeroom class. And that is with about 18 or so of their peers. That is where everybody sits down, and it is the bridge from home. It's where we welcome every child. Typically, they have a really fun greeting in place, and we go around the circle and we welcome everybody. Every child's name is spoken, every voice is heard. It's our grounding activity for the day. We like to call that our bridge from home. It's also where we incorporate curriculum like Second Step, where we are focusing on their social emotional growth as well. We want to make sure that they have the soft skills that they need as they grow to be successful with how they communicate with others, how they understand their own emotions and regulate those throughout the day. So we want to make sure that we're equipping them with the skills and tools to be able to have conversations, to recognize, to have social awareness, and to speak for themselves, and be able to have, again, sort of those soft skills moving forward. So we have morning meeting, and then within the homeroom classroom, that is where those teachers work on things like reading, writing, math, social studies, and then they transition every day to recess. Then that is followed by lunch. And then they also, scattered throughout that schedule, go to some special area classes every day. And that's typically about 2 or 3. What are the school hours in the lower school, and do you have an after school and summer program? Really good question. I should probably know the new school hours for this school year. We pushed them back a little bit due to COVID-19 and everybody arriving. But in a typical school day, the arrival time is really that children needed to be in their classrooms by 7:50. And then hopefully you have a little pencil and paper down to be able to write the afternoon dismissal, because it gets a little bit complicated by school days, but then also by grade levels. For pre-first, Monday through Thursday, children get out of school at 2 o'clock. I'm sorry, pre-first and first is 2 o'clock, and then first through third, first grade is 2:30. And then third through fifth is 3:15, and that's Monday through Thursday. And then on Friday, it's early dismissal. So pre-first students dismiss at 1 o'clock, first grade 1:30, and then second through fifth get out at 2:15 or 2. And then all of this information can be found on our website. I know that's a lot.
Hey, just to touch back on the question about equity, would it be helpful? I can actually post that URL in the chat. Yeah.
That's great, Danny.
Be happy to do that.
Yeah, that would be great.
Thanks so much for the presentation. I have a really basic question. If there are any other parents with September birthdays, could you just remind me, my husband and I are from Atlanta, and we have a few years for our daughter, but could you remind me the birthday cutoff for pre-first?
Yep, so children need to be 5 years old prior to September 1st.
What we thought.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have our daughter is the 17th of September. So I don't know if there are any other parents, but
we'll be older. And that's typically the makeup of our classes. Our children tend to be on the older side for pre-first. So typically we're looking at a class that's really entering when they're typically around the age of 6. And so that would not be, she would not be the only one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? These have all been so great. Oh, sorry, I missed the after school piece. Thank you. So we have an after school kids program that runs until 6 p.m. But within that program, parents can self-select what they choose, what packages they choose. So if you know that you're going to pick up and you really only need a stay and play option for an hour, then the rates are based on those selections. We offer enrichments as well. There are enrichments for everybody under the sun, for the artist, the scientist, the musician. What is great about the enrichment classes is that those are often led by our current teachers in the lower school. So it's really nice to also continue those same faces in the afternoon. Those are incredible programs. We do have a list of those that are currently being offered within our Ask website. So again, if you go to the Westminster website, click on the Ask program, we've got a good detail in there, a good bit of detail on there about programming. It changes every trimester with regard to enrichments, but we do have a program that runs until 6 o'clock.
I have a quick question. This is Ronnie Mabra.
Hi, Ron.
What
Good
is
to see you.
good seeing you? What is the student-teacher ratio in the lower school?
That's a good question. So I'm going to kind of talk about it in a way because it changes as they get a little bit older. So in pre-first, we have 2 lead teachers and about 18 students. In 1st through 4th grade for their homeroom classes, we again still have the 2-teacher model, but you're looking at about 20 students per class. And then in 5th grade, we have 6 total homerooms, and it's 1 teacher per about 16 children. So it sort of it shifts a little bit as they get older. But what is also true is that, you know, when children go to special area classes like design thinking in pre-first, design thinking is led by 2 teachers, 2 design thinking teachers, and then oftentimes in pre-first, 1 homeroom teacher will also join that class. And so sometimes you're looking at 3 teachers with about 18 students. When they head to PE, we also have 2 teachers in that space as well. And so it can vary throughout the day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see, do students from each class stay together throughout the day as they transition to special areas and back to regular class? Or are there any times when students may have options for more targeted learning, such as gifted classes, etc.? So this is a great question. They really do, the homerooms spend their time together. So when they transition to special area classes, they transition with their homeroom peers. There is plenty of time for them to also spend with classmates outside of their homeroom. When they are on the playground, of course, things look a little bit different with COVID-19 parameters in place this year, but in a typical year, they have plenty of overlap. That's typically within the outdoor time. We also make sure that we have a buddy system in place. So we have some mentorship opportunities within grade levels in the lower school. We also make sure that our children are exposed and spending time with our middle school and upper school students, whether that's our 5th graders spending time on the quad with our upper school students, or our pre-first students spending time with some upper school students in 10th grade during chemistry class. We make sure that they have time to connect with people outside of Love Hall as well. When it comes to pulling out for gifted classes, what's true is that we have, our instruction is differentiated. And so when it comes to instruction like reading or writing or math, our teachers are differentiating that instruction inside of the classroom. Every year at the beginning of the year, we assess our students, and that is ongoing assessment. It may be that in small groups for reading, the teachers recognize that I might need some help with vowel teams, and then I master that concept pretty quickly, so then I move on to the next. And so those groupings, those are fluid groupings. What is design thinking in pre-first? Design thinking is the most incredible class in the rotation. But if any other special area teachers caught wind of me saying that, I'd be in huge trouble. That is a class that really changed the whole mindset of how our students and how our students approach problem solving. And so it came from the Stanford Design School. We give our children real world problems, and there are so many within Love Hall that we didn't really recognize before. Like our 5th graders last year were tasked with figuring out how to make our composting better and more efficient. And so we give them these real world problems to solve. They are taught to ideate, to empathize with the user, to ask questions, to interview, and then they actually go into 1 or 2 of our design thinking labs, and they create small prototypes that they can tear apart, put back together, change, go back to the drawing board. It is a space where there is hot glue guns and all types of recycled materials for them to use their creativity and to really think through things. You know, once they create prototypes, they go and they test them. And if they don't work the way that they were hoping that they would work, then they go back to the drawing board and they may take apart and add more. It's a very creative space. It's a space where our children really understand that we recognize their great ideas. They're solving problems for the future. You know, if you're able to join us for one of our virtual information sessions and tours, we'll touch a little bit more about the design thinking project that our pre-firsters tackled when it came to recreating and re-envisioning our playground space. They use that, yeah, Danny's got it as his background, but our pre-first playground needed some renovation. And so we saw that as an opportunity to really invite the children into that work. And so that play space was really inspired by some of their models that they worked on through design thinking.
I would just a quick piggyback off that. I think you can tell too that different types of kids who play in different ways or were thought of in the creation of this playground. So I can see the spots in the playground where like, that's where I would have been. But there are spots for like, you know, performers and singers and those who want to run around or those who want to climb. And so it really was, you can tell just by the look of it that they had others in mind in the design of that. It's pretty special.
Anybody else? These are good questions. I can touch briefly also on our process this year. If you are familiar with the admissions process, you may have heard that in a typical year, we have had the opportunity to invite students on campus for their on-campus evaluations, where they would have typically spent some time with our current teachers in a small group setting. This year, as you can imagine, we are keeping everybody's safety at the forefront. And so we are still doing an on-campus evaluation component. However, we're getting rid of the on-campus piece. And we are asking for some virtual observations to be submitted. And so if you head into Ravenna, you will start to see some of the details of those that step unfold. We will share some more information in January with you about the submission of those videos. They are going to be short clips where we ask you to ask your child to share some activities with us. We promise that it will be outlined in a very clear way, and we're really looking forward to getting to know the children and seeing their personalities as best we can in a safe space.
These are some questions that always come up.
Right.
So I figured I might as well ask them.
Yeah.
Do you have any religious component to your school, such as mandatory chapel, or, you know, are you just not celebrating anything? Kind of, would you touch on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we are a Christian school. We are an inclusive school. We celebrate and reaffirm the beliefs of our families. We do have one class in the rotation within the lower school. It's our Bible values class. And that is a space where we, you know, we do bring our children through the Bible. We also celebrate so many different traditions and customs of families within our homerooms. And then we also come together for assemblies to celebrate as a greater community. Rosh Hashanah, our parents go into the classrooms and they share. We actually pulled that off virtually this year. And so, you know, we are also teaching our children within Bible values, what does it mean to be a good friend? And so everybody is included. There is a space for everyone here. We have families from all major religions. We have secular families who are part of Westminster as well. We are inclusive of everyone, and that is to be celebrated.
Thank you. Another, they kind of piggyback on each other, but what is the tenure of your faculty or teachers? And also, do you guys give preference to families or siblings when they're applying?
Okay, good questions. So we've got a really great balance of faculty and staff. We have teachers we had a teacher who retired, our PE coach. He was here for over 35 years. And so we've got this great mix of people who are so committed to Westminster and have really made this their home. We celebrate retirements on such an annual basis. And so we have that. And then we also have new teachers, and things pop up, right? People have to move. There's other opportunities. And so I like to say that we've got the best. We've got the perfect combination where we've got new teachers learning from veterans. We've got the new ideas circling in, and it's just this very harmonious balance. Westminster is a home. It really is. It's a home not only for our parents. It takes a village to raise a child. And so, we know that, and the community is so important. And so it's a home to our parents, but it's also a home to our teachers. And, I'm a staff member. I've been here. This is year 3 for me. What drew me to Westminster was that I had just had my little baby boy, and I was actually not thinking about going back to work. But I had my interview, and everybody was so supportive that I just felt like this was the place for me. And so I'm sorry that's so emotional, but it just feels like home. So we do have a very consistent and steady group dedicated to the school. Turnover is low. And then your other question, I cannot remember the last piece.
Do you give preference to siblings?
Okay, good question. So we don't have a policy in place to give preference to siblings. We want to do at the end of the day what is best for each child. We will carefully consider affiliated applicants. We know that going into the process. If you are an affiliated family, it is not a guarantee. We do not reserve a select number of spaces for affiliated applicants. We are really keeping the children at the forefront of this process.
Quick question, me again. Are the athletic facilities located on the campus?
Good question, Ronnie. So at the lower school, we have a dedicated gymnasium for PE, and pre-first students are going in there about 3 times throughout the rotation. We are very much focused on building that core strength, getting the movement in. Beginning in 3rd grade, our children dress out for PE, and they start to utilize other areas within campus. So they will go to Turner Gymnasium for activities like swimming, golf, and tennis. Those are 3 strong units that are super, our kids love when they get to go to 3rd grade and then get to kind of expand a little bit. But Danny is actually one of our football coaches, and I know that he's just itching to answer this question about athletics. So I'm gonna toss the fake basketball to Danny and let him.
I even have some of my my coaching gear on for tonight. So all of our fields and stadiums and gyms are on campus. The only group that I would think would have to participate off campus would be golf in the high school, the golf teams. And then we actually have a rowing team for girls, which is
nice.
You won't find many schools in the Southeast that have that, which is so pretty cool. But of course, they've got to travel a little bit to be able to actually row, not just on a machine. But yeah, otherwise, everything's here. It's pretty great.
Thanks, Coach. Nice win last week, too.
Thank you. Yeah, St. Pius tonight. We'll see.
And also that reminds me too that be looking on our website in the weeks ahead. We are going to be launching a 360 tour. And so it will be interactive. And one of the stops on that tour will be Turner Gymnasium. And so that might be a stop for you, Ronnie, but there will be other places as well, the middle school and the upper school. So what has been nice about this process this year, albeit we wish that we were welcoming you on campus, certainly, just know that you're going to have more opportunities to really get to know the school as a greater whole and learn about the middle school division and also the upper school as well. So just sort of be checking back. I know that will be helpful.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We did just build a brand new, beautiful stadium, and we're hoping to unveil it to the community. And I would definitely invite all of you to come to a game or something on campus. But maybe not in 2020.
Later.
Yeah.
Well, good. Any other questions coming in?
Hi, this is Justin Pattison. I do have one question about admissions. We have a daughter with a July birthday, so she'll be 5 in July.
Mm-hmm.
What is the kind of the weight or emphasis on, with a high number of applicants, those that are maybe a little bit older and maybe more ready for pre-first versus those that maybe are on the edge and could do another year at Suzuki or another school?
Yeah, it's a good question. My son has a summer birthday. He's June 28th, and it's a very special and unique position to be in, right? So you as parents may know that you want your child to perhaps be on the older end and have the gift of a year, or you as parents may want to say, you may know that they're ready. And I would also, recommend that sort of talking to your child's current teacher, get their input regarding readiness. There are a couple of components there. It's academic readiness, but also the social emotional maturity. And so that's something, that's certainly a conversation that we can have together on the front end of the process so that we can sort of gauge what you all are thinking as parents, what the recommendations are of the school. What's true is that our children tend to be older for pre-first. Now, that's not to say that we don't have young children. Someone's got to be young, right? And so we do have summer birthdays. It's a handful of summer birthdays, but your child may have the readiness to hit the ground running for pre-first and be young, or decide to wait a year. And that may also be a recommendation from the committee as well, that the gift of time can really serve children. And so it's certainly a conversation that we can have if you are thinking about submitting an application this year. We want to make sure that the children that are coming, we want to make sure that they can thrive, not just survive. We want them to be able to really feel empowered and confident in their abilities and to be able to hit the ground running.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Tavia, do you want to touch on where we can find admissions dates, especially while our QR code is not behaving super well?
Sure. Okay, so Ravenna is going to always keep the most up-to-date information for you. We also have a timeline within our website, westminster.net/admissions on the right-hand side, and that will give you some great information as well. I would say that with this year, we encourage you to submit applications on the earlier end. Don't wait until mid-January. One less thing to have to worry about. There are some pieces with regard to supplemental materials like AAAIS common forms. We do ask that you wait to send those to your child's current teacher until early January. We want to make sure that they've got some time to feel settled and build the rapport with their current teacher before we are asking for any type of feedback. And then, what am I missing? JATP testing. Just know that that test is normed to your child's age. And so I would also follow the same motto of the sooner the better. Obviously, we understand that you need to probably let the dust settle a little bit, getting back into the swing of things of a school year. But we do encourage you to get that done, especially before the winter months hit. The flu pops up, and we just want to make sure that we've got that testing in. And again, it's one less thing to worry about. So I would pick up the phone, call the psychologist if you know that you're going to apply to Westminster and other schools, and go ahead and get that appointment. Where can I find the dates for the virtual admissions events? Okay, it should be within Ravenna. There should be some Live at Love sessions, and those are open to families who are exploring or if their children are eligible to apply this year. I want to say that we have 5 of them remaining, and then virtual information sessions. Those run through early January.
And I'll just add, just keep in mind when you are in Ravenna and after you made your profile, just to make sure to hit Explore Westminster, and then you'll see all the events under there.
Does anyone else have any other questions? Because this has been great. And I'm sure we've already said thank you, but thank you again for, giving us this information and taking your time to share it with all of us. I don't know if Pia asked this question because she normally does, but do you guys have any additional help for those who require occupational therapists or speech therapists or any type of learning disabilities?
Sure. So we do have student support within each division. So the lower school, we have a counselor, and then we have a couple of learning strategists. We do not offer speech therapy on campus or OT on campus. Our learning strategists really help to support our teachers in their approach to teaching and learning with students who may need a little bit more support in certain areas.
No other questions? Now's the time. Well, if no one else has any other questions, we can go ahead and stop recording, and I will definitely provide our families with your information because I'm sure questions will be coming up as the weeks do progress.